Hi everyone, welcome to Mobile Web Thursdays. I'm Paul Kinlan and
I'm Jake Archibald. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, that's right actually. Yeah,
that
was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I'm getting the hang of this TV thing.
He's been planning that for about 2 hours now.
Oh, it's very good. I'm very happy with myself.
Yeah, so we're also known as the Chuckle Brothers, and today we're going to be talking about mobile web performance. Right?
Yes.
So should we get started?
Yeah, why not? One of the things that really kind of bugs me about when people talk about mobile performance is they're treating mobiles as this special thing, and mobiles really aren't that special, right? I mean, okay, they're touch, but touch isn't just mobile. We've got a Chromebook Pixel here that's got touch. So Windows devices
is that
the
touch?
same. No, this is a Mac. It's not touch, I'm afraid. You could say, oh, cellular data, that's mobile, but it's not, because once again, people run their laptops off Wi-Fi's, things like that, and sometimes your phone is quite often on Wi-Fi data. In fact, some smaller devices like your Nexus 7s or your iPod Touches, they don't have cellular data, or not all models of them do. Mobiles are really just small. They're smaller than and less powered than a main desktop machine.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. I think what's starting to lead this kind of what we're trying to talk about today is that we were at EdgeConf. It was EdgeConf, wasn't it? And I think Facebook said that they noticed a significant drop-off of interaction based off the change of frame rate between like 60 frames a second down to 30 frames a second. And the slower and the jankier the experience was actually inside the application, the less engagement that they got, which kind of got us thinking about, well, actually we've been doing it for a little while now, but we're kind of like starting to push more about this jank-free. I got to say that correctly because I can never never say it quite right.
Yeah.
This jank-free kind of experience where you'll get 60 frames a second experience on mobile, and a lot of people think you can't. We think you can, and I think we're going to try and show you today kind of some of the gotchas, the how-tos, the wherefores, what else can we say?
Well, it's if you serve just a lump of HTML to a phone, it works. It works quite well, and it runs quite fast. So saying how to make something fast on a mobile isn't really the right thing to say. We're saying how not to make it slow, because it's fast to begin with. As developers, we're the ones who make it slow. So I don't swear very much as a person. Is that fair to say?
No, but you do.
Okay, maybe I do, but I've been told that
he's worried. By the way,
I'm really not allowed to. And when you're told you're not allowed, my brain my brain's like the back of a teenager's maths book. Yeah. It's absolutely disgusting right now. When you're told you're one syllable away from losing your job, so you're going to help, right?
That's it. We've got this preemptive beep machine.
So you're going to beep.
I'm going to beep. We haven't got a proper one, so I have to go beep.
Okay, I get a twitch in my eye when I'm about to.
I've been watching.
To drop a bomb, a word bomb. So watch out for.
On that note,
actually, shut the fridge door. See, I thought I would let you in there if a kind of that was a test. I wasn't actually going to swear, but
dude, I know
you missed. I thought you were going to be here for me. I'm
going to be preemptive when I know you are going to do it, and you knew you weren't going to do it. So why should you do it?
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see if I've got a job at the end of this. Let's take a look at an example. This is all that stuff I was saying before about mobiles not being special. We're going to look at a case where they are special, just to prove myself wrong. So if we can take a look at what's on my desktop machine, I'm going to look at the first demo we have here.
Yeah. Can I just say before we start, we have a moderator where people can actually ask questions. We should have the link on the screen somewhere at the bottom. So you can kind of go and ask us questions, and we'll answer them at the end of the show. So
let's do that.
Should we get doing what you're going to do?
So I'm in JSBin for our first demo. So what we have here is a series of divs, all with the same class. It's a really darn simple demo. And the JavaScript here, what that's going to do is it's going to loop through all of those elements. It's going to give them a hue value. It's going to cycle through all 360 and create this kind of rainbow effect here. Now, when you click on them using a click listener here, it's going to swap that to the opposite side of the hue. So what we get is click, 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 and it will go back. So that's how it works on desktop. It's really fast, but let's have a look at how it works on mobile. So if we can switch to the mobile view. This is running on a Nexus 7, but it runs the same on phones. So here it is. As you can see, it's scrolling. We get pinch zoom. That's fine. and I tap on it, and it changes color. But it's really, really slow. And I was saying before that mobiles are not as fast as desktop machines, but they're not that slow. You know, painting a rectangle a different color is not really a task any device should struggle with. So what's happening here is click events actually run with a 300 millisecond delay on mobile. Now, I'll show you why that happens. If we have a look at, in fact, Google Moderator. So Google Moderator is a site that isn't really optimized well for mobile, so no points to us there for that. But Apple came up with this interaction where they would start with the screen zoomed out, and if you wanted to zoom into a part of it, you could use a pinch zoom, but you could also do this. You could double tap, and if you double tap it, it zooms in. And all other mobile devices have copied that, and this is our problem, because how do we know if you're going to double tap when you tap? Well, the only way we can do that is by just having a little wait and seeing what you do next. And if you don't tap again, well, it's not a double tap. So yeah, it's kind of said that if you want something to seem instant, it has to happen within 100 milliseconds of the user clicking the thing. And with 300 milliseconds added to the start of that, you're 3 times over budget before you've ran any JavaScript at all. But we can use JavaScript to sort of work around that.
So I know some of the guys who are working on the touch side of things are trying to improve this even for normal viewports. Because like if you can detect that you're at full zoom, for instance, then you're not going to try and do the double tap in.
Yep.
And there's questions about whether we can optimize that experience so that we don't have to actually kind of have a viewport if you don't want to have a viewport and all this type of stuff.
Yeah, and if there's anything else you want to spoil ahead of me
Am I spoiling things?
That's
well,
fine.
You've got the,
Tell you what, why
you've
not?
got all the lines down here.
I could leave if you just want to read from my notes. That's
well,
fine.
There's something about the FT down here.
No, don't talk about the FT.
You told me to read
You
ahead.
nearly made me do one of those job-ending noises. OK, so this example, actually, let's take a look at the desktop machine, and I can show you the code here for this one. That's in number 3. So this code looks exactly the same. It's lovely code. It's my favorite. I spent at least a few minutes writing it yesterday. So here's the difference. This one isn't click, it's touch end. So it's using a touch event. It doesn't work on the desktop. You would have to add a click event in as well. But if we can switch to the phone, we can see the difference it makes here. So I can scroll around the page, and if I tap, it changes, and as you can see, it's happening instantly. So we've got a real performance boost out of that. This is on Chrome, Chrome for Android. We'll take a look at the same thing running in another browser. I should point out this is not my Nexus. I'm not a fitness fanatic, and I wasn't planning on having a nipple slip this early on in the presentation. In fact, let's just...
It's my Nexus.
Is that your Nexus?
It's my test one.
I'm just going to grab him by the nipple and fling him away. Excellent. So let's go into Firefox. And let's have a look at the same URL. In fact, do I have it prepared? Oh, that's lovely. So this is the same thing. We're using the touch event. And so if I tap, it works. But as I scroll, when I let go, it's still getting that touch end event. Yeah. And this is not Firefox doing it wrong. In fact, the default old Android browser does the same. iOS Safari does the same. In fact, Chrome's kind of the one doing it different. And it's not going against the spec. This is it's just unspec'd behavior. It doesn't say whether a touch sequence should be cancelled if a scroll starts.
Does it happen in Safari as well?
Yes, in Safari on iOS, yeah.
So does it match Chrome's behavior, or does it match Firefox's? It matches
Firefox's behavior here.
So it's actually something that we're doing inside the browser ourselves?
Yeah, so, well, yeah, Chrome is the exception by doing what I would say would be the right thing to do. I think once you've started doing a scroll, then I don't want to hear about the touch events because the browser has taken over handling touch events. But yeah, it's no one's actually breaking the spec. It's unspecified behavior. We do have a fix for this in the form of the pointer events spec. Yeah, and it's something that Microsoft came up with and is now being worked through the W3. And that explicitly says, we'll include a link to this, explicitly says that if you do a zoom or a pan or a scroll, then you get touch cancel events, and you won't get a touch end. So, or a pointer end. It's not touch. So that's something for the future, but doesn't really help us now, unfortunately. And I think we're much more concerned with now. So
do you know there's many sites that are using touch end for this? Is it mainly?
No, because most people find out that it's going to cause that kind of problem. We do get some problems with sites where they've got like an instance of Google Maps halfway down the page. And if you've got that full width, someone will be scrolling down the page, and then they'll hit their finger on the Google Maps bit, and now all their touch events are going into Google Maps. Yeah. It's not a very good experience.
So I do have one question for you.
Go for it.
If you have a touch start on that on the same range of elements that you're in there, does the behavior match Firefox?
If you,
because it feels like if you're saying that you've got a touch start event, you would definitely want a touch end event.
If you have a touch start event and you cancel it using event.prevent default, then it's kind of saying that you are now in charge of all of those events, so you will get them the entire sequence. There is another way we can fix this. So let's go back to the desktop.
Is this what I ruined before, by any chance? No?
Yes, it is. Yes, this is the one you ruined. Let's have a look at number 4. So this is going to be we're going to go back to click. So there we go, we've got click back there. But in the HTML, we have a difference. We've got this meta viewport here, but it's fixed, so I'm not going to be able to pinch zoom. So let's go to back to the mobile view. I'm going to go to number 6. I am not as dexterous at this distance. Tell you what, let me just pick it from the link here. So we're going for fixed.
Preparation.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Right, there we go. So I can't pinch zoom, the viewport is fixed, but the taps are click. Even just using the click event, which was slow before, it's now fast. And that's because, as I say, we know as a browser, double tap has no meaning here, so we don't have to wait around for it. We can take the fast path.
There was a film called Double Tap.
I've never seen it.
I think. It was rubbish.
Okay.
Anyway.
So the people, we do this. This is something that Chrome for Android does. Firefox does it as well. Unfortunately, the other browsers, including
I think
iOS.
we've done just an article in HTML5 Rocks about the interaction between touch and click.
Oh,
and that's one of the bits of research that we did where we were testing to see whether Firefox and like which browsers, when you had a viewport, set like the ability just to have straight through.
So yeah, and as you were saying, this is one of the things that we're looking at, because having a fixed viewport is okay, but it can be nice. It's like a nice accessibility feature you get for free in the browser to be able to pinch zoom in. So it's worth keeping. So we're looking at ways. There's a ticket, and we'll post a link to that, where we're kind of discussing in what case can we decide the user's not going to do a double tap here, so we don't have to wait for it.
Yeah. So I think on the performance side, this doesn't necessarily seem performance related, but it is, right? I mean, it's like the first thing that people encounter when they're trying to build applications and sites on mobile.
I think
is this. This is the slow bit, right? It's not slow because the hardware can't handle it. It's just slow because the way we programmed it, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you told the network guys, we have a trick that will shave 300 milliseconds off the delivery time, they will jump all over you to get it. And here we are in mobile with every click taking that long. And this is the thing, this is not just a JavaScript issue. I mean, these examples have all been JavaScript, but even just a link on a page is going to have that 300 millisecond delay unless you're using a fixed viewport. There is a workaround that works today, and this is
this the bit now?
This is the FT bit.
Yes,
Actually, you haven't spoiled anything after that.
So I can see all the rest of your script. So
yeah, okay. Well, we're getting to the end of this page. So
I might ruin your next joke, by the way.
Oh, great. Nearly did a swear again. Okay, let's have a look on the mobile. I'm going to switch over to fast click. So this is using a zoomable viewport, and it's really, really fast. So I'll show you what's happening on the desktop machine. If we switch over to that. So this is using a bit of drop-in JavaScript from the FT. And if I switch into the edit view. Excellent. So the difference here is I'm dumping in fast click, which is a script written by the FT. We'll put a link to their GitHub page.
Yep.
And in JavaScript, it's right here. This is just this one line saying I want fast click to work for the body. And what they do is they're just going to use like the touch start and touch end events. But when you let go, they're going to look how far you traveled while you were doing that. And if you've traveled over a certain distance, they'll go, that's not a tap really, is it? That's not a click. You were doing a scroll or some other kind of gesture. And it's a large script. There's a lot of edge cases, a lot of browser bugs that they've worked around. So I'm sure they'd agree, the quicker we can kill that script, the better. As soon as we can get all browsers up to date, to have a way that we can work around this click delay thing, the better. But it's really the best we've got at the moment.
Cool. I think that's touch. We can deal with the touch questions when we get them in the moderator. So if we want to pull up the link for the moderator again, just so you want to ask questions. There it is.
That was good. That was like,
was it timed well?
That was a real little TV thing. I like that.
I want to be like that guy on YouTube that you showed me.
Excellent. We'll put a link to that as well.
Yes, we should do actually. It's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you want to get onto your next bit? And bearing in mind that we haven't got a huge amount of time left.
We don't, or we do?
Not really.
Not really.
We can go over.
It's not like
proper TV.
I'm having good fun. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. Are you having fun?
Moderator says no.
Oh dear.
Someone did say, did you just swear? Was that a nipple I just saw?
There was a nipple. There wasn't a swear though, so I still keep my job. That's what's important. So let's have a look at our graphical performance demo. So if we bring up the desktop, if we haven't already.
You forgot to do that.
There we go. OK, so I'm going to reset that. This is snakes on a geometric plane.
I like that.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with myself. So as you see, these things are moving around, and we're moving around using a CSS animation. I'll go into the edit screen for this. So this is the animation it's using right here. Let's bump up the size a bit there. It's just, so it's just going around the top and the left, and it's going to animate around. So the performance isn't so good, even on desktop. So let's take a look at it full screen. And I'm going to bring up Chrome's DevTools. So let's do that now. So let's bump up the size there as well. So I can run this. This is the timeline, and what happens here if I start recording.
I'm going to say one thing in a second about the timeline. Is that not enough people use it and not enough people know about it?
It's the best thing we've added to DevTools.
Everyone seems to go to the heap profiler and the CPU profiler.
Don't do that, it's rubbish.
Yeah, and then, so this is actually, and Paul Lewis, one of our other colleagues, is really big on this at the moment. He's basically saying all the time that,
It's huge.
Yeah, it's big. It's where it's at. It's got like 2 turntables and a microphone. But anyway, the actual thing I wanted to say was, the biggest problems that we face are at the moment around compositor rendering and understanding when the layout changes inside your app.
Yeah.
And so I know you're going to talk about this now, but
well, this is it. We can see the problems we've got here.
JavaScript performance, deal with it when you get to it, but you can get a lot out of this rendering performance.
Exactly, and you can see the problem here is all we've got these huge paint operations that are happening. But let's take a look at it on mobile, because that's kind of what we're here for. So if we switch over to the mobile view, I'm going to open the same thing. Here we go. See if I can actually click a button. So you've
prepared DevTools?
I haven't prepared DevTools, but I'm going to. But we can see on the mobile view that the performance, I mean, it was bad on desktop, but it's just like really suffering on mobile.
Yeah, and this is what you were saying at the start, is like these devices are probably about a tenth of the speed of your normal desktop machine.
Yeah, about that. I mean, they're going to keep getting faster, but they're always going to have, they're always going to be behind what's inside your much bigger desktop machine. So, and this is the thing, in compared to some laptops, I mean, we've both got high density screens, but in the normal laptops, your mobile devices sometimes have the same amount of pixels or near the same amount of pixels, but much less hardware driving it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to connect DevTools up to this. We're going to do a proper session on DevTools, right?
We'll probably rope Addy in or someone as well.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So the way you activate DevTools is you connect via USB with your phone. We can bring up the desktop view. I'll show you.
Why were you pinging google.com? Did you have network problems earlier?
Let's just go away. It wasn't that we were panicking for about 15 minutes before we started.
We had no network before we started, and considering this is a live show, we had a bit of a crisis. But so, it was like an adventure.
Yes, it was exactly what I wanted for my first time doing this. Nearly swore again. So if you want to, you put USB debugging mode on your device, you connect via USB. We'll cover this properly in another one. And you, there's this very intuitive command you put in. And it's that. I mean, I don't know about you, but that was the first one.
Might need to make it a little bit bigger for everyone, if you can.
Well, people just need to look closer. Get closer to your
Manual
screens.
zoom, move your head closer to the screen.
Exactly. So I don't know about you, but that was the first word that came out of my mouth when I was born. That ADB forward, TCP, colon.
Well, I've just been with it for a while now.
Am I allowed to say colon?
Colon is fine.
Okay, that's good. And then it will say error device not found, which, and this is going to probably cause me some grief as I start to do this demo. Let's see if it's just by coincidence working. No, not at all. That's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unplug it.
Yes.
And then I'm going to plug it back in, and we're going to see what that does.
I have full faith in you.
That's fine. Do you know what? I'm okay.
I want you to do more shows later on, so it's.
I could start crying at some point soon. Let's close Chrome.
Did you have Chrome open?
I did have Chrome open. That was.
We'll do ADB devices. So if you're doing, so we might as well tell everyone what's happening now. So this is the, you got no devices attached.
Well,
so the way that you actually connect DevTools to Chrome and Chrome on DevTools is via the Android development kit at the moment. And there's a tool inside the Android development kit called ADB. And cool, we've got it working now. So ADB devices lists all of the devices connected to your machine. So there might be a couple of them, and Jake is going to take the leap of faith, and it's worked, I think. He's run ADB forward, and ADB forward basically says we're going to forward a special port, TCP 92222, all those connections, straight to this other host called Local Abstract Chrome DevTools. Now, that itself is the DevTools instance running inside the actual browser. So what you might notice is that your DevTools inside Chrome appears different to the DevTools that you get when you debug a device. And that's because I think the device that you're on, the URL says 25. You're on M25 there, and you might be on Canary on your desktop, which is at 26 or 27. So we're basically forwarding all the requests to that device. Then that device is serving up DevTools for us, and then we go from there.
Yep.
That was actually a pretty good save.
That was a really good fill. That's I'm very happy about that. And by the way, the solution there was to unplug it and plug it back in. So just the other end of it. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up one of these things that's moving around. So if we're on the desktop view, we can see that I've got this magnifying glass here. I'm going to click that, and then I can just tap on the actual device if I can catch one of these snakes. And it's going to bring up that element. It's such a simple thing. I really like that. Anyway. What I'm going to do is a horrible hack, and I'm going to do WebKit transform, and then translate Z 0. And if we watch what happens on the screen, as you can see, the performance has just gone much, much better. We're kind of well, in fact, let's not guess what frame rate it is. Let's run DevTools here. As you see, okay, we're not perfect, but
you're not at the full 30 frames a second, but
no, it kind of actually visually looks a little bit faster than that. Maybe DevTools itself was making it slower. But the important thing is the paints have gone, and we've got compositing instead.
Have we described this user? I don't always pay attention to you.
Okay, that's fine. So, I'm Barry. Pleased to meet you. Welcome. You're in a studio. Everything is okay. The bright lights are okay. There are.
No,
there are 3 lights.
So I was going to say
lights,
it's actually 4 lights. That reminds me of the T-shirt you were looking at before. So this user interface, I'm pointing at a screen which you can't see me pointing at properly. But anyway, there's 2 lines, 60 and 30, and they kind of vary based on the actual frame rate that you're actually getting.
Yes.
Because if you're getting a really slow frame rate, and we've seen applications that get like a quarter of a frame a second, you don't even see the 60 frame a second, the 30 frame a second lines there. But this gives you a great indication about how far or how fast that your application is running on a frame rate.
Yeah, and the fix we applied there is by applying hardware rendering to all of those objects. So I'm going to try and explain the difference between software and hardware rendering to you really, really quickly. So imagine you have a wall, okay, like a big white wall, and you're going to do a painting on it.
Okay.
So you get your bucket of magenta paint and your paintbrush, and you draw your shape, right? Okay. And you stand back and you think, wow, that's brilliant. Except it's a little bit too far to the right. I want to move it to the left. The problem is you've painted a wall.
So you're saying I knock the wall down and build it up again?
Well, you'll need to repaint the wall white
Oh,
again.
well,
paint the wall white.
That's actually even more efficient than what I was going to do.
Exactly, yeah.
So that would be software rendering.
Yes, and then you paint it again.
What would my mechanism be? They're knocking down the wall?
Knocking down the wall. We're talking IE 5.5 Mac there. I think that's what they did. But in hardware rendering, what you would do is put a piece of Perspex over the wall.
Yep.
You would do your painting again, and then if you wanted to move it, you would just be able to move the Perspex. In fact, you could add multiple layers of Perspex and draw stuff on there, and then moving around becomes really cheap. If you wanted to change something else about it, like the color or the shape, you've still got to do some painting, but moving becomes really, really cheap.
Yep.
Excellent. Did that work?
That was actually pretty good.
That was excellent. Okay.
As you can tell, I'm not that clever. I was actually going to knock a wall down.
Well, we might do that later on. We could finish with that. We could knock this wall down if you want. I mean, that sounds like a good way to end.
The amount of trouble that we had getting this place ready first.
That's true, actually. Wow, yeah. So if we look at the mobile phone view, I've put this button in the middle. This wasn't just a message to a life suggestion. Go out and do something. No, this is a button, and this is going to spend a second. There it goes, a second worth of JavaScript time doing a thing. And you can see there the animation stops as well. We can actually improve on that and improve on the animation performance as well. We saw with the code we had before. Let's go back to the desktop view while I can show that. Let's get rid of DevTools. Come on, JSBin, don't fail me now. Right, so this is the animation we're doing. It's using top and left, but we could alternatively animate using transforms like this. And if we go to the phone now, or the Nexus, I'm going to make that happen if I can remember how. Right, here we go. Here's our animation name, and I believe it was around transform.
I was laughing at you earlier because I was like, "Oh, you've made a mistake."
Yeah, bug in DevTools. That shouldn't be crossed out.
Yep.
That's this should actually be WebKit animation delay, which is what's being set here. Which is why each circle is slightly off from the other one. And that creates a snake. So now our performance has actually gone
on a
much
geometric
higher.
plane.
On the I'm so happy. And if we run DevTools now, look at that. And in fact, I think it's actually at 60 frames a second. It just gets slower when we're actually recording. One of those Heisen bugs.
Yep.
And we've got no paints, we've got no recalculations. We're just doing composites on hardware, and that's brilliant. And furthermore, if I press this do something button, JavaScript is still going to block for a second, but the animation's like, don't care. I'm doing my own thing. I don't care about what JavaScript's doing. That's kind of cool. Yeah. We don't like to not care about JavaScript every now and then.
I don't even care about most things half the time.
It's all right. I don't even care about you. Nearly did a swear. OK.
So, yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, I've not seen too many people use DevTools, especially for performance profiling. And that's one of the things that we definitely want to encourage is people to use more just the DevTools. You get the same kind of interface exactly against these devices. I would say that if you email me, paulkinlan@google.com, if you have any ideas about how you'd like to use DevTools and what you'd like to be able to actually interact with these devices a bit better than we can now, please let us know. We'll file that feedback directly to the team. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I want to get out of today is we actually want feedback and people start building these things, and we want you to go and play with this as well.
Yep. I mean, I don't want people to start thinking of that translate Z thing as a silver bullet, golden bullet. We call it a golden bullet.
Silver finger is golden finger, silver bullet.
Golden. Yeah.
I don't know. We got into trouble doing something.
Let's
leave this one.
Let's talk about something else.
Yep.
In fact, I think
It's
translate
not panacea. Is that a word?
I don't know. That's out of my vocabulary. Can I talk about mobiles? Is that okay? Is that okay with you?
Well, we're actually running out of time, and I'm trying to.
Right. Let me do this demo really quickly.
And then we'll move to questions.
We can do
about 10 minutes of questions.
Okay, that's fine. I've gone back to the slow demo on the phone, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off some of the effects that are going on here. So we've got a shadow and the border radius. And as we turn those off, we're just software rendering now, but things have got a lot quicker. And I'm also going to trigger something else as well. I'm going to make the colors change. So let's do that. There we go. So now it's going to change from green to yellow just by changing a class name. And that's great. It's not awfully fast, but it's consistent. What I'm going to do now is take one of these boxes, and I'm going to do the same hack we did before. Oh, it's really annoying because the class names are changing. I can't quite get hold of it. Okay. I'm going to press here. Oh, don't do this to me. There we go. So it's good. It's fine. So I'm going to do the same hack again. Translate Z and down to 0. And now if we look at the phone, we've got the performance is roughly the same as it was before, but you can see as it changes color, there's a we call it jank, right?
Is it jank?
There's a jank.
I used to call it yank.
It's a yank. That's racist, man. Don't.
It's not.
You're getting fired. I'm still employed.
Well, I thought it was like in Europe, in a lot of places in Europe, they pronounce the jizz. Yiz.
Okay. I'm going to move on. If we have a look in timeline, we can see in DevTools on the desktop, we can see that that jank happening right there. And we can see what the result of that is all these paints. And that's, as I was saying before, because we're actually changing the appearance of the element, it's having to go away and paint every one of those squares individually and upload them to the GPU. And that's really cheap on your desktop, but it's really expensive on a mobile. I mean, the Nexus 7 we're demoing on has quite a good relationship with the GPU, whereas phones often don't, and you can run into real trouble. What I'm trying to say is Translate Z is like beer. It's like having a bottle of beer. I don't know about you, but there are some things I am better at after a bottle of beer. Things like
darts,
talking to people.
Yes, dancing.
Dancing. Yep. But after a few more beers, I am worse at them than the start. I am lying on the floor telling a fire extinguisher how pretty its hair is, or something like that. And this is how it works. So your desktop can really hold its liquor. It's good at it. It's been optimized to do that. Whereas your phone is a lightweight. After a couple of beers, it's going to start throwing up, and it's going to be throwing up GPU memory.
Yes.
I could demo that, or are we out of time?
I think we're out of time. I think what we should do, though, is we've got a lot of questions in the moderator.
Oh, that's good.
Some of which I know we can demo, and we can be a little bit quicker. I know there's no one in the studio after us, so I think we should be OK. And if we're not, my colleagues will ping me and tell us to get off air.
Yeah, that's good. They'll be knocking on the door. That's fine.
Well, they'll be in America somewhere.
Oh, OK.
We don't know.
OK, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's the internet.
Wow.
It's cloud thing, right?
Is that our new product, a transporter? is that launching at I/O?
I did actually say they'll ping me, not knock on the door. I said knock on the door and what.
Okay,
anyway, we're wasting time.
Carry on.
So first, most popular question from Mark J in London. I don't quite know Mark J. Do you?
No.
Well, hello, Mark J.
Sorry if I do know.
I'm sorry too.
Has he put his age? People should put their age with questions. I like it.
Yeah, he's 28 from London.
Excellent.
Will fixed position always be such a huge performance killer? So I know you've done a little bit of research about this just today.
Yeah. No, it won't. In fact, let's have a look. If we go onto the mobile device, I'm going to launch BBC News. And there we go. OK, so what's Cameron doing? OK, anyway, let's have a look at DevTools as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop into. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to get hold of this masthead here. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this fixed position. So fixed and top 0, left 0. Let's give it width 100% because it's not in flow anymore. And a Z index. What's your favorite number, Paul?
74.
74. That's
so let's just ignore me and put 64 instead.
I hate your favorite number, so I'm not going to do that. So if we have a look at the mobile device now, I fixed that masthead up to top, and really we don't have too much of a performance problem at all. One thing to watch out for is if the BBC doesn't do pinch zooming. In fact, I'm gonna make it do pinch zooming because we've got DevTools. Whereas,
does this work if you modify the viewport?
Let's find out. This is exciting. There it is. User scalable 1. I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean anything. Maximum scale 1, that's our problem. Right, let's see if that worked. Oh, look at it go. Excellent. So, yeah, using fixed elements. In fact, I've clicked a link now. No, I haven't. Anyway, yeah, with pinch zooming, you get a really odd behavior with fixed positioning. But without it, it's actually decently fast. So scrolling is going smoothly. I think this is a problem on older devices. I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's in fact, it's more of a problem on desktop.
We actually had a problem the other week where we were debugging another app, and fixed position actually caused a different behavior. I don't know whether it was a slow path. Well, it probably was a slow path because it was a lot slower. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It caused a whole load of repaints that didn't need to happen.
At the moment we do a full page repaint on scroll, which is we're working on fixing everything. All fixed elements will go into their own GPU layer, which is what's happening on a mobile already.
Yeah, so to answer the question, like you said before, it's not always going to be a performance killer. We know it is. And again, and this is the great thing about open source projects like Firefox and Chrome and others as well, is that there are normally open bug trackers. Either submit one. If it's already submitted by someone else, it will be triaged and merged in with another issue, so don't worry about that. But submit the feedback, and then that's when we know fixed position is a critical problem to developers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if it is a problem, let us know, and the bug trackers are normally the best way.
And have a look in the timeline, because that will show you that large repaints are happening, and any information you can provide is great. I mean, we'll look into it as well, but you might be able to find out that the cause of your problem is something you can easily fix.
Yeah. Next question: is there a plan? It's Culshaw. Oh yeah. Okay. Culshaw in England. Is there a plan for Chrome to integrate a view in which show HTML exactly how it's processed on the mobile? Okay.
That was just words. But
no, that was me not. Actually, that was me not reading it properly.
Okay. Sorry.
In iOS, there's a simulator which emulates Safari. It has those differences, and the same with Android emulators. So this is actually one of those things that email me, Polkin at Google, because I want to find out how people work on desktop. Because right now we're finding that it's not actually too hard to connect to a device and actually do the testing. But at the same time, we understand the fact that if you're on a desktop machine, can you actually show up a page that we can go to show one of the little things that we can do?
Oh, what? What do you want?
Oh no, on the desktop.
On desktop, what do you want?
DevTools.
I phased out. DevTools.
Yeah, on desktop DevTools.
Okay.
Come on. Just anywhere, it's fine.
But I want to see that. I can't even spell.
It's okay, just.
Okay, there you go, desktop.
Okay, now go to settings. And then overrides.
Overrides.
Yeah, we can get to device user agent and device metrics.
Yeah.
So we can do some things. Obviously, Jake's not clicking the buttons I asked him to click.
Oh, you didn't say click.
I didn't say
buttons.
click. I just thought you would have been able to understand.
I thought you were just
motioning,
trying to impress people with your reading.
Well, obviously not, because they can't see what I'm pointing at on the screen properly.
Okay,
can I?
sorry.
I haven't got Google Glass. If I had Google Glass, it'd be awesome. But essentially what we see is that we can make the device metrics to be like a Chrome for mobile, Chrome for Android, iOS, so you can test it. However, it doesn't emulate the viewport, and it doesn't emulate a whole load of other things that you'd expect on the machine. And if you talk to the performance guys, they actually want you to test, wow, that was quick. They actually want you to test on the devices, because when you're thinking about performance, a lot of the time it's like the GPU characteristics and a whole load of other stuff which might be causing you problems. You might think you've done it quite well on one machine. You go to your device and it's a completely different profile. So that's why we're encouraging people to use the DevTools and actually test on the devices themselves.
As you say, I mean, the emulators we have, because they're actual emulators, they will accurately show you the rendering, but they won't accurately show you the performance. iOS, their simulator is a simulator. It's using the underlying rendering in macOS, so your rendering might be slightly different, and your performance will be the performance of your desktop machine rather than the mobile. So you need to test, and neither of them give you the same kind of touch experience that using an actual device will.
Okay, so let's go. We'll do a couple more, and we'll try and get through a couple more.
Okay.
A while ago, there was a discussion about the best approaches for responsive images, best way to defer loading. Is there a de facto standard yet? In your opinion, how should we do? No, there's no de facto standard.
Nah.
We've shown you the BBC before. They do an image replacement technique with some JavaScript. If you actually use the DevTools and go in and inspect what they do, it's actually pretty cool. They work out the viewport size, or the image size, and then work out which one to display, the best one to display.
Yeah, there's Match Media. Match Media will let you do a media query test, but a CSS media query test in JavaScript, and that's really useful for that.
Yeah, there's a WebKit image set tag which you can use, and we've got a little hack which we'll share later on. I actually did it on Twitter the other day, where you can display a 2x image and a 2x pixel ratio image, and all those types of things. But it's only responsive to pixel density and not any other context. So there is none, and there's no implementations, of source set yet, which I believe is the other one as well.
Yeah, if you're using CSS backgrounds, then you can obviously just use media queries, and there's also one for device pixel ratio.
Yeah, but the problem with backgrounds, right, is like if you do an image, for instance, like the alt tag comes through still, a load of other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a pain.
I wouldn't recommend using CSS for content images just because it's more convenient to switch them at different widths.
Yeah.
Look at what the BBC have done. It's really smart.
Actually, it looks nice. And it looks like the old GIFs or GIFs, I don't know.
GIFs, definitely GIFs.
Yeah, GIF, but it's jibbed in Doom, not gibbed. Anyway, next question. I use Adobe Edge and Winery to inspect mobile devices, which I'm finding useful. Is it possible to do something similar in DevTools? Yes, we've just shown you. That's the next one. Currently building an entire JavaScript app for mobile. Is mobile generally up to the processing and rendering, and how can I optimize for mobile? From Simon Smith in London. I'm going to guess his age, 26.
26?
34.
Oh, that's younger than me. Well done.
I don't know. Anyway, so I think it all depends on the operations that you do and you need to test. We find things like box shadow that you showed before and a whole lot of other stuff can cause issues.
I think we've
box shadow and border radius and a couple of other ones.
Yeah. And
it changes because as the browsers update, the performance profiles change as well. So you're going to have to keep testing a little bit. Processing rendering, yeah, they're actually pretty good. If you do it right, it's pretty good. But you've got to test, and you've got to test on the devices. I don't think there's any real way of getting around it because devices are different. Desktops are different.
Yep.
Tablets are different. Everything's different.
JavaScript's not your problem really anymore. And we heard the Accenture guys saying that it's rendering because the JavaScript engines, even on a mobile device, are pretty fast. Unless you're doing ray tracing or trying to do something like gzip on the clients, you're going to run into problems there. But for general website use, JavaScript's not your problem. You might run into rendering, but the DevTools will tell you where the rendering problems are. Even something like a box shadow, once you've drawn it, as long as you're not changing the shape and size of it, it draws once and it stays in memory, so you still get smooth scrolling.
I don't know. I've seen like HTML5 rocks go slow because of the scrolling. I don't know. It's horses for courses sometimes.
Yeah. And
it depends. Next question. Any link, Barto and Chile, any link for more resources about mobile DevTools or mobile dev with Chrome DevTools? We haven't got anything dedicated. We've got google.com/developers.google.com/mobile. /Chrome/mobile. It is literally just the DevTools. So anything that you do with DevTools, we should probably get some performance articles written about how to actually do better mobile debugging and everything.
So have a look on YouTube for talks by. There's a new young developer called Paul Irish, and he's done quite a few interesting talks about this sort of thing, hasn't he? So
and Adi Osmani has as well.
Yes.
So if you ever see Adi Osmani, ask him to do his Paul Irish impression. It's brilliant.
It's very, very good.
Yeah. So I want to get one more in. Patrick H. Lauk, is that? I know
Patrick.
Yes, and he actually sent a tweet in before.
Did he?
Yes, about the other TV presenter you look like, and it was rather amusing.
Yes.
So let's look at this one. With mobile devices often having limited memory, care to comment about not just compressing and minimizing files over the air, gzip, but actually caring about the deflated file size. So this is for processing actually onto the device.
Yes.
In memory. So can I start with that one?
Whatever, mate. Yeah, go on.
Whatever. So we've seen this with different device pixel ratio, devices with different pixel ratios where a pixel isn't a pixel anymore. We've seen that image decoding and resize happens when you have to. Well, the image decode always happens. So the bigger the image, the longer it takes to decode. And if it takes a long time on a desktop machine to decode, it's going to take even longer on a like a phone or a tablet to decode. But we've also seen resizes happen where if it's not done at the same DPI essentially as the target device, then it has to do a resize. So if it knows it's 500 pixels, it has to actually double it to 1,000 pixels in theory, behind the scenes.
But with all the different DPIs that we have on devices now, it's surely nearly impossible to avoid.
Well, you could have a 1.33333337.
You could generate them on the server, I guess, if it was a problem on a particular
device.
device.
And so I know PageSpeed tries to do things like this, like the PageSpeed services and everything, is they try and optimize the image size for the container and a whole load of other stuff.
No, makes sense.
And the device format, but it's hard, man. Especially when you're on the other side of the server where you don't quite know the device characteristics unless you've got them in a big database. So how would you deal with that?
I think it's down to the browser developers.
Yeah.
It's not our problem. Go and fix image resizing. I know they're looking at it, and it's something that will get a lot better.
So I think that's actually one thing that we haven't really touched upon is the time to decode CSS JavaScript in its raw form.
So the BBC do something very interesting, and it's kind of similar to something I did when I was at Lanyard. We do like a basic feature detect in the head of the page, and for what we think the site needs to run the JavaScript we're running. So I think for me it was app cache and local storage. For the BBC, I think they look at JSON and some other stuff. And if the browser fails those tests, don't load any JavaScript.
Yeah.
And because the site works without JavaScript, the browsers that are going to fail those are going to be old browsers.
Yeah.
Those old browsers are going to be slow at parsing JavaScript. We saw on old Blackberries, just the script, we weren't running any script, we were just parsing it, was causing like a 5 to 10 second delay on just loading a page. And caching doesn't help with that. That's going to hit every single page. So yeah, if you can conditionally load JavaScript or conditionally load content as well, that works really well.
Cool.
What I would say don't do is don't lazy load content on a mobile device unless it is like a huge chunk, because if you're scrolling down a page and you're loading in imagery as it appears, that's quite good on desktop, but on mobile, if you're on cellular data, I guess the same would apply for a desktop on cellular data, the cell falls asleep, right? The radio falls asleep.
I'm falling asleep right now.
Yeah, I'm boring myself actually, but the cell falls asleep, the radio falls asleep, and then a new thing goes to load. It has to be woken up, and before it wakes up, it wants its breakfast, and its breakfast is your battery life. So it does all that, and then it will go and download stuff. So lazy loading can seem like, yeah, this is going to speed things up, just load stuff when it's necessary. On cell data, on mobile, 3G, whatever.
But if you lazy load, like at the start of the page, it's not going to make that much difference, right?
Start the page is fine, as long as it's roughly the same time.
But what you're saying though is like anything with Ajax-based refresh is going to be potentially a performance killer.
Battery killer. And if you can get away with sending it all down the wire at the start and it's not too much, then I would do that.
Be interesting to know how well server-sent events work.
Yeah.
And whether they keep the battery, I don't know.
No,
It'd be interesting. So actually, that's a good time to finish.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yep.
You just yammered on like crazy for absolute ages, man. It was terrible.
I'm going to.
So what we're doing is a series of podcasts. We're going to have like a cycle. So next performance one is going to be in a couple of weeks. I know Jake's got a lot more content. He prepared it a lot today, and we ran over. So we're definitely going to do another performance one. We'd like to hear from you to understand kind of like what kind of things that you want to hear us talk about around the kind of the client side of the performance. I mean, Ilya is going to talk about networking and network performance, and we don't want to step on go over that too much. But like building performant like user experiences and user interfaces, we want to know what you want to hear about, the problems that you're having, so that we can address them in articles and also in kind of videos and programs like this. I think next week is Sam, our producer, who's actually been switching all the buttons for us today and helping us out loads. What are we talking about next week, Sam? DevTools or?
Yeah, that'll do.
DevTools or OWP. We'll send out a tweet later on, but it's going to be good, and we'll ask you for questions that you want answered live as well. And then we'll do this one again in a couple of weeks' time.
It's Sam's first time producing as well on these things, so it's his
so
first time, it's my first time.
You're
That's
producing
really romantic.
next week.
I'm not producing next week.
You are. So next week, next week if you see it, just change to a picture of, I don't know, whatever. That's Jake.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that, I think we're finished, and we would like to say goodbye. Well, I would like to say goodbye. What would you like to say?
Hello. How's it going? You want to go for a drink?
Yeah.
I think you've got a great sense of humour.
Okay, with that then, we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We faked all.